Peace if you're willing to fight for it. My name is Amari Rebel, and although Sway may not have the answers, Baba Malcolm sure does. If you've been here before, welcome back. And if you're new around here, hey, we're all about black music, black story, and black culture. If that's something you can vibe with, go ahead and subscribe. Speaking of stories, the audiobook of the Autobiography of Malcolm X came out, and I'm mad excited. I even pre-ordered this joint. Narrated by Lawrence Fishburne. Yo, this joint is taking me back to my high school days, 21 years ago. Two friends of mine. This book right here, without any trace of hyperbole, without any trace of hyperbole, defined the direction that my life would take. So at that time, you know, I was a young brother trying to find my way in this wicked wilderness of North America, and my mom's, I guess she saw what I was going through, where my thoughts were, and she decided to go to the local bookstore. And I remember when she gave it to me, my first thought was, wow, like, this is really thoughtful. You are in tune with what I'm going through and are trying to support me on my journey. My second thought was, there's no way I'm reading all of this. Are you kidding me? Almost 500 pages. I was like, yo, thanks, but no thanks. And if I'm being honest with you, one day I had the runs and I ran to the bathroom and grabbed this book. And from the first page, I was hooked. I was enthralled. I was drawn into a world that I could only imagine at the very fringes of my consciousness. At that time, I was in an all-boys, white, Catholic high school trying to make sense of what in the hell was happening in the world around me. And Malcolm was a shining light, our shining black prince for sure. But he was a shining light for me in that moment of darkness, white darkness. I clung to every word, every spare second in the day I could get. Yo, as I neared the end of this book, I wanted to slow down. I wanted to slow down time. I did not want this to end. I didn't feel as if I was equipped to go off into the world by myself. I wanted to cling on to every word that he had to say, every lesson that he had to teach. Malcolm X, Baba Malcolm X, Brother Omawale, El Hajj Malik El Shabazz showed me the direction that my life would take. So in honor of the release of the audiobook and Every Day is Malcolm Day, I wanted to share with you just 3 lessons, right? I had to narrow it down to 3 lessons that Baba Malcolm taught me. Now, before I get into it, I would like to mention something that I think is unfortunate, and that is that too often the idea that people have of Malcolm X is based on the autobiography. So what I'm saying to you is that this book had an impact on my life and the life of a lot of people that I know. However, it's not the most accurate portrayal of the political ideology and philosophies of Malcolm X. If you check it out right here, wait for it, where is it, wait. It'll say that it is told to Alex Haley. This book is the product of a series of conversations that Malcolm had with the writer Alex Haley over a period of time. And there's 2 things I think are significant. One, Malcolm never got to see the final version. The nature of those interviews was not the succinct and neat narrative format that the book itself takes, right? Number 2, Alex Haley was a staunch conservative and integrationist. He had fundamentally different political views from Malcolm. How would those political views color, pun intended, the story that he told? This universal story of transformation from a low-life thug and drug dealer and pimp to a hate-teaching, fire-spitting minister to an evolved thinker who has rebuked the ways of his past and is committed to a brighter humanity. That ain't Malcolm. To me, it is essential to read Malcolm's words. What was his thinking? How did it develop in the time he was with the Nation of Islam to the time he left? If you want to see the pinnacle of his thinking, read this book. He is as committed to black self-determination as he ever was, articulating a Pan-African vision of black liberation. All right, so now that the public service announcement is out of the way, let's get into it. Number 1, Malcolm showed me what an incisive mind, what a penetrating intellect could do. Yo, this man was a genius. Later on, Nana John Henrik Clarke would say something like, I only debate with peers, all others I teach. Malcolm had no peers. He was a master teacher. He had the ability to break down into the simplest terms the most complex of arguments and then build them back up to that level of complexity, leaving his opponents defenseless. In my academic and intellectual work, I am guided by Malcolm's principle, which comes out of the Nation of Islam, to always make it plain. Malcolm taught me what an incisive mind, what a penetrating intellect could do. Number 2 is an outgrowth of number 1, and that is Malcolm taught me what humor could do. Yo, this dude was funny. Now we know that when Malcolm got to New York, he had the name Detroit Red, and part of it was because he had come from Lansing, Michigan, and since no one knew where Lansing was, but they knew where Detroit was, his name was Detroit Red. But the other part is because in his crew was another Red by the name of Chicago Red, Red Fox. And if you listen to his speeches, you hear his comedic timing. And while they pull that noose around your neck, you say, "Forgive them, Father. They know not what they've done." Why, as long as they've been doing it, they're experts at it. Why, you're sick. You're a junkie. No, you're worse than the junkie. Because a junkie has a little monkey on his back and you running around with a big white ape named Uncle Sam on yours. He's pulling punchlines with the best of them. Malcolm taught me about the effective use of humor. And finally, Malcolm taught me about character, about integrity. This is a man who dedicated his entire life to self-development through study and reflection. He was constantly refining his ideas, all the while guided by a larger moral code. He was committed to his family, he was committed to his faith, and he was committed to his people. And he knew that in order to serve them best, he had to be his best. Now, I could have gotten into an extensive list of how Malcolm's political philosophy has shaped and inspired my own, but I really believe if we boil it down to these three, intellect, humor, and character, we have the building blocks for a humanity that can truly serve Black liberation. Now, I mentioned earlier that when I was finishing the autobiography, I was sad. I was scared in a lot of ways that I would be losing my guide. The fact is, Malcolm has never left me. His spirit has continued to guide me in all that I do, from the music to the underground classic Make It Plain to People's Talk thing with my brother Amari to the fact that my son bears one of Malcolm's names. So as I dive back into the autobiography, I am reinvigorated to recommit my life to that which Malcolm committed his, to Black liberation. So I need y'all to let me know what's up. What is your favorite Malcolm memory? What is your favorite Malcolm quote? Share it in the comments below. I am forever and for always so proud to be a son of Malcolm. And in the spirit of Malcolm, I bid you peace, but only if you're willing to fight for it. Till next time.